Welcome to today's session of FairCon 2020. I want to remind everyone that as you are preparing to lean in, that you can engage with all of our speakers by using your chat feature that's available to you through the digital platform. Today's session is supporting your company's digital transformation with quantitative risk management, featuring Harold Marcenaro. He is the Digital Risk Officer of BCP. And BCP is the credit bank in Peru. Harold believes in the power of banking and entrepreneurship to transform our society. And it's this power that he believes needs to be managed responsibly. He tries to apply these principles as a leader, as a banker, as a risk manager, and a director at BCP. Enjoy the session.
Hello, my name is Harold Marcenaro. I'm head of non-financial risk at BCP, which is the largest bank in Peru. I'll be talking today about supporting your company's digital transformation with quantitative risk management. Please write your questions in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Our agenda for today is this. I'll briefly explain our transformation journey. Then I'll explain risk management's transformation journey. I'll go a little bit into our cybersecurity program. And finally, I'll explain how quantitative risk management fits into all of this. So first, a little bit about BCP. BCP is the acronym for Banco de Crédito del Perú. We're the largest bank in Peru with approximately 30% of market share, which is uncommon in other countries. We are the oldest bank in Peru, so that makes us very conservative in certain aspects. We have around $45 billion in assets, over $1 million in net profit last year, and we're part of a wider financial corporation called Credit Corp, which is listed in the New York Stock Exchange. BCP is the largest business within Credit Corp. We have a market cap of around $11 billion. So that gives you a sense of our size and our relative importance in the region. BCP's transformation journey started in 2014 based on this insight, which was a real shock for us and our management. We, like most of our companies, we do customer satisfaction surveys. And in 2017, we fell to 4th place within the bank category here in Peru. Again, this was a shock. This was something we had never seen, and a very important wake-up call for us. And this generated the burning platform with which the transformation journey was born. I think this starting point is important because it was our transformation journey is not about only reducing costs, complying with regulation. It's about improving satisfaction for the customer. So after lots of thinking, we came up with this, we call it our North Star. So it's based on initially on our purpose, which is at the top of this pyramid. We want to transform plans into reality. That's our why we're here. And we brought this down to earth in 6 values, which are the left. That's on number 2. Learning by doing, customer centricity, risk conscious and righteous, collaboration, give your best, and boost your skills. These are a free translation from Spanish, so the wording might seem kind of odd. Sorry for that. Then we decided that we're going to do it with what we call a wow experience for our clients, a wow management, and a wow team. And this was translated into concrete objectives. So we have 2 objectives. We want to be number 1 in customer experience, and have the best efficiency ratio in Latin America. And this on its own came down to 6 results. We want to have a cost to income ratio in the mid-30s. We want to double our cross-sell. We want to be able to pre-approve loans for half of Peru's population, be #1 employee experience, serve 70% of our sales digitally, and we have a certain ambition of increasing profits that's not disclosed to the market, so I won't be able to disclose it today. So again, this was driven by improving the customer experience. And we launched a very ambitious transformation program, which is called in 10 what we call rockets of a spaceship. So as you see, things like digital journeys, customer experience, technology, and at the left-hand side, at the bottom, there's digital risk. So at the very beginning, we decided that risk management was a part of this transformation effort. We had a brief discussion at the beginning if it should be sort of ahead of the pack or follow the pack. And we decided that risk had to be proactively pushing its own transformation to enable the bank's wider transformation. The reason we did this was that we figured out that if risk only followed the pack, what would happen eventually was that risk would become a blocker of the transformation because it wouldn't be ready to accompany what the bank was doing. So we decided to push this initiative. I lead the risk management transformation initiative at the bank, and that's the context of many of the things that I'll tell you about. Within this digital risk initiative, we identified two elements that we wanted to work on. One is cybersecurity, and the other one, we call it digital risk capabilities, but it's very oriented towards being able to assess credit, taking advantage of more data and better analytical tools. So it's a lot about big data, data analytic type of approach. So I'm going to go more into the cybersecurity aspect of the program. The first thing that we tried to figure out was, why do we need to transform risk? And how does the risk management connect to the bank's wider purpose, which is transform plans into reality? So we came up with this phrase, spending time in defining a purpose for risk management was very important, because it helps us to align efforts and eventually prioritize along the way. So we decided that we want to contribute to the bank's purpose by transforming plans into reality for more people and many generations to come. So we want to enable the bank so that its value proposition is available for a wider audience, in terms of more credit, security, etc., and do it sustainably, conservatively, so that we're here for many, many, many more years to come. And initially, when we started working on cybersecurity, we adopted FFIEC's cybersecurity assessment tool as our main map of how to prioritize efforts. If you're not familiar with this tool, this is actually regulatory in the US. How it works is that through a survey, you need to figure out what the inherent risk level of your institution. So that puts you in a column. If you're a very simple institution with little customers, a small amount of connections, small amount of complexity, you would have a least inherent risk level. BCP was mapped at the significant inherent risk level. We're a large bank, a systemic bank here with millions of customers and lots of connections everywhere. And that risk level determines what maturity level you should aim for in the framework. So we started out at 0, sub-baseline, if you want, and we established a plan to increase our maturity level all the way up to advanced during 2021. So this framework was very good to get started with. It is still very good. We use it because it gives you specific controls and activities you should be prioritizing in terms to improve your cybersecurity. However, after a year or so, we figured out that that wasn't enough, because when we had conversations with our board, when we made decisions with our leaders, the discussion was all about complying with a maturity framework, and that wasn't enough. So we decided that we wanted to look for something that helped us make cost-effective decisions. So make sure that whatever investment we're putting into cybersecurity, we have a sense of the value that we're adding with it. So actually this Wall Street Journal clip was taken from the FAIR website, but I think it's very good because it summarizes what we were looking. So it says, cyber risk is business risk. A primary responsibility for a CEO or CISO when talking to the CEO or board of directors is to articulate how cybersecurity translates into dollars and cents, putting monetary value on security events and tying security to real-life business cases can show senior executives the potential impact of a cyber event in terms that make sense to them. So at the end of the day, we want to be able to map cybersecurity risks and discuss how different possible investments move this risk in terms of likelihood and impact. So that's how we found FAIR. Our first approach was we bought several books of measuring and managing information risk, and we all read it. We decided that quantification wasn't a means of itself, so we wanted to be blurred by the mathematics behind some methods, but on the contrary, quantification is a means to being able to think things through systematically. In that sense, quantification enables us to aggregate risks, compare risks, prioritize strategies, and make decisions at the end of the day. We looked into other solutions or methodologies. We also decided that FAIR had a better chance to becoming a standard, which there isn't yet. We particularly like the fact that FAIR has an active community and is an open platform. You don't have to buy FAIR, because we think that this facilitates further adoption and development. And initially we tried to implement it on our own, but felt that we were taking too long to move forward. So we started a collaboration effort with RiskLens to speed adoption and facilitate escalation of FAIR. So now we're in the middle of implementing FAIR. During 2020, we are working with RiskLens in implementing a systematic method for identifying cybersecurity risks, quantifying them, aggregating them, communicating them, and prioritizing mitigating actions in order to focus our cybersecurity program on the most cost-effective initiatives. In particular, we have 4 objectives. First, we want to be able to aggregate the bank's total exposure to cybersecurity risk and be able to split that exposure by different views, by threat or type of vulnerability or assets or products, etc. Second, we want to use this aggregation to define and build a risk appetite metric and limits that replace today's metrics. Today's metrics are more based on history than future exposure. Third, we want to be able to quantify specific risks and prioritize initiatives between possible mitigation strategies. So to reduce this risk, is it more effective to build this control or that control? Should we invest in prevention or detection? Where's the higher exposure? How do we mitigate it more effectively? Fourth, we want to understand how enterprise-wide initiatives impact several threats and vulnerabilities or assets at the same time. So building or developing infrastructure or capabilities that run across the bank and attack different risks, how cost effective is that? And finally, and where it all ties up, we want to be able to introduce these tools into our decision-making processes, because at the end of the day, if decisions are not made and things don't happen, any methodology is useless. So the way we structured our program is that we developed a squad that's working with RiskLens in implementing the methodology. A squad is a terminology used in agile contexts. Basically, the definition is that's made up of people from different functions. So it's a multifunctional team, and that works in iterations. So a squad has sprints of 2 weeks long and deliverables for each sprint. So the work is incremental after each sprint. So during the first quarter, we hired a people, we did an initial training and onboarding. And during Q2, we quantified 10 scenarios led by RiskLens. And we started using some of these scenarios into our decision making. In particular, we used 2 of these scenarios to accept and strategize over two specific issues. During Q3, we want to quantify 10 more scenarios, but this time led by us. So RiskLens is going to be sort of assist us in doing this, but led by us. And we want to continue using the method for decision making in several tactical situations. This is where we're now. And in Q4, we want to scale up. So we want to quantify 100 scenarios and start using the methodology regularly, figure out investments across risks, and create an aggregated vision of risk, possibly have a risk appetite, an established risk appetite with this. So the key to scaling up is what RiskLens calls data helpers. So these are pieces of information that can be reused to quantify different risks. So that's where we're putting a lot of focus today into intelligently develop these data helpers. So that's where we're at. We're very excited about this program. We think that it's going to be a very important change in terms of managing cybersecurity as a risk, not as a technical problem, but as a risk. So thank you for listening, and I'll look forward to talking with you during the rest of the conference.